Welcome to the Manifesting Millions podcast, where we talk about manifestation, money, and practical guidance to creating your dream reality. My name is Amy Van Meel, and I am an experienced coach and transformation guide, obsessed with helping you get out of your own way and create a life that blows your mind each day you wake up. My goal in this podcast is to share practical manifestation, self-awareness, and growth techniques in real talk conversations. So if you're ready to massively transform your reality, your finances, your relationships, and your overall enjoyment of life, you are in the right place. I am absolutely delighted that you're here with me today, babe. Let's get into it. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the Manifesting Millions podcast. I am, of course, your host, Amy. I am excited to be here with you today. It has been a very interesting and weird day. Also, I have been a day behind the entire week. It's the week of Canada Day. And even though I understood consciously that Monday was a holiday, and so we started on Tuesday, literally an hour ago, I was like, okay, so I'm going to get this up and it should be good. And I'll be ready and it'll be up for Wednesday. And then I'm like, wait a minute, today is Thursday. I've made it through the whole freaking day. And today is Thursday. So we are our first episode back. We didn't go anywhere, but it's our first episode together since the 4-part series on investing. I really want to know how you like that series. So if you've listened to even just part of one of the episodes, let me know. What did you think? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you like, oh my God, I learned so many things? Were you like, all this stuff is broken? Tell me the things I want to know. Today, I have a very unstructured podcast for you, which means that it could be something like 10 minutes long, or we could be here together for an hour. Who knows? I have been getting back into flow state energy, and oh my goodness, does it feel so fucking juicy. I've been feeling a lot outside of that some days over the last couple of months. And yeah, it's not my favorite place to feel on the outside of flow state energy. One of the things that I wanted to just kind of share is was the unlock, or has been part of the unlock for me, is I'm always fascinated by the history of women in particular. And I just started reading a brand new book that I think is called On Our Best Behavior. I think the book literally just got released in the last couple of weeks. I'm still waiting for, I almost said literally the third time. I am still waiting for my copy that I pre-ordered, and I was like, okay, it's coming June 10th. I was like, okay, it's practically July 10th. Where is this book supposed to be? I went and looked into it, and I did not realize I could pre-order a book more than a year in advance. So literally the estimated shipping time says June 10th, 2025. I'm like, well, that is disappointing, but fine. However, I have it on my library app. I love my library app. It's a great place. I've talked about this a couple times in the podcast before. If you have access to any kind of library, I would guess it's probably more big city libraries, but what do I know? It could be anywhere. So I live in Calgary. I've talked about that before. And the Calgary Library has a library app. It's called Libby, which is the app. You just need to I guess sign. It's been so long since I've done it, but I think you sign in with your library card. And you can borrow all the books from the library that are available on the app. It's been amazing. I read so many books. I probably read somewhere between 30 and 50 books a year. I read a lot. I just finished reading. What did I just finish reading? It'll come to me. Oh yeah, The Time Paradox. I was like, it's not related to women at all. I just finished reading The Time Paradox, which was more sciencey than I was thinking. Not that I'm against science. It just, sometimes books are written in science speak, and I'm like, you could say this a lot faster in 3 sentences. It does not have to be, 4 pages of text. But it was still an interesting read. However, the book that I'm reading right now is something that came across my awareness from it might have been a Marie Forleo interview. I don't actually remember exactly. But the author, who is a woman, is writing about the 7 deadly sins, and specifically how women in particular have been ingrained and continue to be programmed as, I don't know if what's the right language. Like, it's not the keeper or the bearer, but like maybe it's the source of the seven deadly sins. I don't know if that's quite the right way to say it. So I've been kind of like getting my nerd on, diving a little bit into history, understanding a little bit of like, I've always wondered, always, I say that like I've been wondering since I was born. I've wondered for like the last probably 20 years, how how did we get to this point where we live in a patriarchal society, right? I've heard long before that historically societies were matriarchal and it was the women who held the power. And I'm like, okay, what happened that we gave it away? I don't understand. Tell me the things. Well, as it turns out, we didn't give it away. Duh. But it definitely was taken away. And the very, very short, entirely messy, does not do the book justice version of this is effectively that, how do I say this? Like very, very, very old tribes, like we're talking BC kind of era, that were like popular. There was a ton of men. This is how the book explains it. Arrived, pillaged, plunged, raped all the societies that they found that were originally very matriarchal, very balanced societies. I shouldn't say very matriarchal, but they had matriarchal leaders. How do I say that word really well? And that is when women first became property. Fun fact. Yay. And that basically has just kept on going. It's been perpetuated through all religion. There is, I think, 0 religions who are apart from that. Their modern day-ish religions are attempting to correct some of that, but like we've had thousands of years of programming telling us that women are weaker, telling us that women are inferior, telling us that women are immoral, right? Not just sinful, but like outright immoral. And everything that was set up in society basically like underscored that. So we have been coded for fucking millennia to believe that we're like crappy creatures, basically. And by the way, we're owned by men. Anyway, so the book is really like, I love this kind of reading. I love this kind of learning. It's so in alignment with like the work that I do and the messaging that I want to get out there, which is not to say that like the messaging I want to get out is like men are bad. In fact, one of the things that I find always a bit of a challenge, and I wouldn't say that like I'm constantly monitoring for it, because if I'm monitoring for it, then I'm going to create it in my life. But I am mindful of how I frame men when I'm talking about the history of women, in particular, because when I look at my husband is good and kind and wonderful and like one of the most amazing humans that I know. I realize that I'm biased, but like it's true. And I don't ever want him to feel like he is this like horrid holder of this past that have just like subjugated women for their own power. He's very aware of it, okay? He's not someone who's like uneducated. So he's aware of like what's happened. And I talk openly with the stuff that I'm learning. But like I also don't want him to feel like you're garbage. I've decided that I'm going to just like pound on you for the rest of your life. You are welcome. That would be a really shitty way to approach the world. So when I share all of this, though, what I think is so important, we're not all history scholars. I'm definitely not a history scholar, and we don't need to be history scholars. But we do need to understand enough about where we came from to help us start to piece together why we do think, say, feel things sometimes, right? The whole reason that we do belief shifting is because very often you're looking at something in your life going, I don't understand why this is existing this way. And then someone like me comes in and goes, oh, by the way, it exists like that in your life because you have a belief about it. And you first respond with, fuck you, Amy, what do you know? And then you respond with, well, how do I understand what it is and change it? Right? Which, by the way, I teach you all the things inside the Building Vampires program. Hot tip. So when we have, I lost my train of thought here a little bit. When we have all of these beliefs and programs and all this stuff that's like existed, there's so many unlocks that have happened for me when I've started to understand history. So, module 2 of Building Vampires is all about women and money. It is literally like it's a very short, condensed, super approachable version of how women have been experiencing, or primarily really not experiencing, money throughout millennia. And when I tell you that learning what I did and what I share inside the Building Vampires program fucking changed everything for me, I am not saying that as like a clickbait worthy kind of like, here's the thing that changed everything. Like it legit, it released a lot of shame. It released a lot of guilt. I think just like even learning it shifted already a whole bunch of beliefs that I wasn't even aware of course. But like it just, oh my God, it fucking baffled me when I realized that the little sneak takeaway is men have had access to money and financial tools since its inception. Women have had access, and I don't mean this is women. This is not through a man. All right? That's a very clear delineation because, of course, like we can access money through husbands and fathers, whatever else, in whatever way they allow us to. But women independently have had access to money and financial tools since the fucking 70s. 60s, 69, 70s. Depends a little bit which country you're in. Like, this is not that long ago. And when I realized that, I'm like, oh my God. I've been wondering all this time, why has nobody been teaching me about this stuff? Why have the women not been talking about this stuff? Why is like everything that I see and hear and read and like experience always taught from this like fucking male, gross, yucky point of view? Why this shouldn't be this hard to understand. And then I'm like, oh my God, that's why, because they've had access to this for millennia and we've not even had 100 years of access to it. That unlock for me was huge. So this book is like really like creating all kinds of juicy vibes for me and like just sort of shifting my energy a little bit more. Yesterday I shared on I almost said on the podcast. It's on Instagram. I'm staring at my Instagram page. Been a weird day today, yo. Okay, so I have like my Instagram profile in front of me. Last night I went to bed and the back half of my day yesterday wasn't so great. So when I got to bed and I went to write in like I do, lots of people do gratitude journaling. I do abundance journaling. I've done it for years. I wanted to really like make it super, super clear to my brain all the ways that abundance exists in my life. And sometimes that's related to money, but like 99% of the time, it has nothing to do with money. Last night, as I was sitting there with my journal open, I I struggled to think of like what felt abundant today. What felt effortlessly expansive today. I had to really dig deep. And I think I came up with something literally like, I don't know, my coffee. That's it. That's all that felt abundant today. Or, having a hug from my husband, feeling his love and support. And that is not a small thing. I understand that's not a small thing. But like, I really had to dig deep to find different things that felt abundant throughout my day. And so I shared on the reels yesterday, that like, just real talk, honestly, real talk. One of the things that has been, I suppose, sitting on my mind a little bit, especially in the last few months, is I have been talking about money a lot. I have been sharing about money a lot. I have been doing everything I possibly can to make money more approachable, to meet you where you're at, to cross the gap between me sitting in my office and you wherever you are existing in the world. But I've been feeling like I've been showing up sort of 75% true. And that 25% has been me, a combination probably of protecting myself and hiding a little bit, because I have been doing exactly what I share inside the Building Vampires program about leveraging the financial tools that are available for us for our maximum expansion. I've been doing that, but I am in a space right now in my life where I am bridging the gap between having had a full-time income and a business that is not yet regular. And for anybody who's ever tried starting a business, who's ever run a business, you'll understand what that feels like. It's a longer gap than I thought it would be. And there are things in place that I'm working on to like adjust, but I have been tapping into every bit of resources that I had set aside in the past. So my savings accounts have all now been used. I am now into accessing my wealth account, which some financial advisor, if they ever hear this, is going to go like, no, 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 like don't touch that, blah, 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 blah. Here's the deal. Financial tools exist to support you. Okay. If I'm going to take this to the extreme, and I'm going to add this with a little trigger warning in case like suicide is a trigger warning for you. You could probably just like fast forward like 40 seconds or like 2 minutes and you'll miss this entirely. Let's say things are really, really dire. Okay. And I hold this belief that under no circumstances am I allowed to touch, understand that I just said allowed, to touch this account, this money that I have personally set aside. Okay? So let's assume that were the case. Let's also assume that I have found myself with my back literally against the financial wall. And on top of all of this, I feel lowly and like super, super, super depressed. So I am now at the point of feeling like, what is the point of going on? I'm now considering suicide because I can't see a way forward. All right. If I were to follow on that belief and say, well, I'm not allowed to touch that account because whatever reasons, some of them probably are logical, but a whole bunch of them are not helping. If I'm not allowed to touch that, well, then I can't access it. So then what's next? And I might, I make the choice to take my own life. And anybody, fucking anybody, I don't care who you are, I don't care how knowledgeable you are about money, that financial advisor that was just going, no, 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 you don't touch it ever, would now go, oh my God, if that's the situation, yeah, like fucking use it, right? We don't need to, oh my God, we do not need to create these ultra dire circumstances in our lives to leverage the resources that we have fucking built for ourselves. I don't know how to say that more times. I really struggled with the decision to release money out of the account, shift it over into my checking account to help me continue bridging the gap. I went through all the emotions of feeling like a fucking failure. Here I am trying to teach women about money, trying to teach women about leveraging financial tools, trying to like show up as what I have always been told, that you have to show up as the fucking expert in your space. Why would anybody buy from you if you're not the fucking expert? And I'm like, okay, well, like, how do I become an expert in like 2 years or 6 months or whatever else, right? And then at the same time, I'm looking at people who, and this is no knock against folks who are younger, but I'm looking at people who are in their fucking 20s who are telling me, like, do this. And they're making millions of dollars because people are like, oh, they must be the expert. And I'm like, I'm sorry. What makes you the expert? You haven't gone to school for that. You've been on the planet literally half the length of time that I have been. Like, show me your life. Okay? Show me your experience. Like, how do I know that you're the expert? But they're fucking killing it. So I have been standing in this place of going, well, I have to show up as the expert, which is this programming that I have been built into. And I can fucking see the person who is a man who told me this and like over and over and over and over and over is coded into my brain. And it's not just me. It was like part of the business program I was part of, but coded this into my brain saying, you have zero right to sell anything if you're not the fucking expert, which makes no sense when we're talking about like, so in order to sell mugs, I need to be an expert in mugs. In order to sell t-shirts, I need to be an expert in t-shirts, right? It's completely illogical when we actually think about it. When we actually break it down, it makes 0% sense. But this is the belief that I have been inundated with, and that's been just running on autopilot because that's how our beliefs work. It got wired in however many years ago when I was in this super vulnerable space trying to build my then design business. And I just went, okay, well, so I have to show up as the expert. And even when I was in my design business, and I had a $40,000 degree behind me. I had years of experience behind me. I'd worked in like various design shops. I'd worked as a lighting specialist. I'd worked in construction. Like I had the chops, which was the only thing that kind of gave me a little bit of enough confidence to go, yeah, okay, I think I'm an expert in this. But oh my God, I was quaking in my boots almost every single day because I thought, any designer worth their salt is going to look at me and go, she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. I also didn't exist in the world as like what you typically see as a designer. I remember working with a coach who said to me, this is years ago, said to me that like, if I want my clients to take me seriously, I cannot show up with like an old purse or, an old car or whatever. Like how I look communicates to others the quality of my work, which always felt a little broken to me. I'm like, okay, I've seen like countless farmers who just show up with like literally shit all over their boots or pants and they're worth millions and they just walk into the bank or whatever and they get whatever the heck they want to. Like, are you telling me that somehow because he's got shit on his boots, that tells me that he's a really great farmer? I don't know. It could mean he's a terrible farmer. I have no idea what that's supposed to be. But what I did was I was so fucking broke. I had no business spending any money on anything because everything was going either into my business or it was going to just barely survive. And I was struggling when I had my design business for a long time. So the only thing that was even remotely approachable, I bought a purse. Super, super simple. I kept it very, like, I think the purse cost me like, I don't know, like $35 or something. I have no idea, but I kept it really simple, very classic, clean lines. So that like when I walked in and I set that down, people could kind of go, oh, okay. And I was very careful with how I put together my outfit. Very careful about, I literally, oh my God, I would park like a block and a half away because I was driving a Pontiac Sunfire at the time, had a really stupid accident that wasn't my fault. The stupid accident. I was taking a right turn. I was behind an SUV. The SUV like went. I saw them like put on the gas and go. I was like looking hard over my left-hand shoulder and I saw there was a space. So I went and literally as I turned in front, I realized that the SUV fucking stopped. I have no idea why. So I hit the back of their bumper. Everybody was fine, but my hood now had this lovely little like fold up on the front. So it worked fine. It was secure. It was safe. It was totally fine, but it didn't look like what a successful designer was supposed to be driving. So I would legit park a block and a half away. And keep in mind, I'm carrying in bags that have like multiple paint decks. I had, so if you're familiar with paint decks at all, like it's those big fan decks that have all the paints. I used to also do Benjamin Moore paints and they have like an entire box that like you carry, has its own bag. I would come in carrying samples. I would literally have like tile samples and material samples or window covering samples. Like I'd have pounds and pounds and pounds and pounds of material that I would be carrying up to a block and a half away from the house because I was told it wasn't okay for people to see what I was driving. If they saw what I was driving, they would think that I wasn't worth my salt and they wouldn't hire me. Can we just talk about how absolutely fucking ridiculous that is? I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? And the part that always fascinated me, and perhaps this is very likely because I grew up in a farm, but like when I see someone pulling up in this is, okay, I'm going to say this in particular, young people. Sorry, young people. I feel also like an old person saying young people, but like, let's say I see somebody who's like 19 pulling up in like an Audi A4. Okay. I'm going, where the fuck do you have money to get an Audi A4? Or someone who's 25 who's pulling up in like a giant Escalade. I'm like, I don't understand. Where do you come up with this money? Someone who's 35. Like, I actually am much less trusting of specifically anybody who works in finances, but definitely I understand this is biased and whatever, but like, if you're a guy, if you're like between like, say 25 and like 50, and you show up my house to like talk to me about life insurance or something, and you're fucking rolling up in like this Beamer, I already don't trust you. 100%. And everything that you tell me, even if it's correct and even if it's logical and even if it's the best thing for you, for me, is going to go through a massive filter to go, what does this person know? Look at how they showed up at my house. You can't see me, but I'm pointing out. One day I'll have to videotape this. Like, it's fucking broken, right? Which is, I suppose, one of the things that I love so much about this current style of business that I have. I show up with you on the socials. I'm there on Instagram. I'm there on TikTok. You can see me. I've been working remote work for like 4 years, so I'm totally very used to like only seeing somebody from the collarbones up. But like, I'm not showing up to you with like Gucci handbags and like Prada sweaters and like, like, I don't know, Coach earrings. I know zero things about designer labels. They just don't intrigue me really at all. I'm showing up just as me. I don't have to come in with like this specific purse. I don't have to show you this specific vehicle in order to be able to go, yes, now I'm worth you listening to me. Right? But I do have this programming, have had it in the past. Let's say it's old programming. Let's say it doesn't exist for me anymore. All right? Let's decide that here together, you and I. This old programming that said, in order to sell anything to anybody else, I have to be the fucking expert. And the subtext to that, what I picked up or what I tucked away or what I read into it, however you want to look at it, was I cannot be the expert in something and also be struggling with that thing. Which, let's talk about therapists. A therapist is not always like completely great. A great coach is not always completely level and neutral and grounded, right? We go through things. We're fucking humans. We're intended to go through things. That is the human experience. It's why our souls showed up here. They're not like, okay, I just want to be like peaceful and blissed out like all the time. No, they wouldn't fucking incarnate into our human bodies because like, what's the point of being here then, right? But I had this mistaken, broken old belief that in order to really show up for you, in order for you to believe that what I have available, in order for you to go, yep, I want to buy that, I need to say to you constantly over and over and over, I fucking have it all together. I have it all figured out. I have all the money I could possibly want in the bank. I'm doing everything perfectly. Look at how amazing I'm doing. Buy my program so you can have all this amazingness as well. Are you seeing the disconnect? Like, it doesn't make sense. Life happens. That's where I've been at. I've been in this life happens stage. I worked a job that for a very long time I loved. Oh my God, I thrived in this company, in the culture, in the work that I was doing. I absolutely loved it. And then things started to change. And they went from like, okay, there's a couple of changes that are kind of weird to like, oh my fucking God, how do I get out of here? The day that I decided to quit my job, and I don't remember if I've shared this story before or not. The day that I decided to quit my job, actually, it was 2 days later. But the thing that instigated me going, it's officially time. 3 days after our wedding, which was the most amazing experience of my life, I am so amazed and delighted and just in awe of how amazing that experience was for me, how amazing it was for my husband and everybody around us. But 3 days after I got married, after this beautiful, amazing experience, I went back to work. And within 5 hours of being there, I was having an anxiety attack. I have never in my life had an anxiety attack before. I haven't had one since, thankfully. I thought I was fucking losing it. I was like, what is going on? I called my friend. I was like, do you have some time? I need to talk. I feel like I'm turning into a lunatic. I did a little bit of, there was enough of my conscious logical brain in like motion going, maybe go check out, like, is this an anxiety attack or a panic attack? Like, what's the difference? Should I be doing something here? And that's when I learned as I read through, oh my God, like all these symptoms. I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what it is. I'm having an anxiety attack. So I chatted with my friend. I was like, I know you're like deep in some processing, but yo, I need some support right the fuck now. And my friend sat with me and helped me ground and helped me really come back into myself. And then she said to me, and she's one of my wisest friends, and I just adore her. She said to me, she goes, because I was like, how do I keep going? I need to keep going. I can't just fucking quit my job. Like, this is the best paying job I've ever had in my entire life. Dave's going to fucking lose it if I just quit my job. And she looked at me and she said, you've been struggling in this role for a long time. We've known each other when we worked there. And she goes, your body has been telling you over and over and over that this isn't working. I had been feeling dizzy. And I'm not talking about a little bit of dizzy, like, oh, I feel a little lightheaded. Like fucking, I passed out twice. Once I was in the shower. The fact that I managed to not hit the sink was massive. The second time I was outside, I flat out passed out. When I went to the doctor, like, hey, something's wrong. And I said this to the doctor. They're like, oh my God, something's very wrong. There's no reason that that should be happening. I was dizzy multiple times every single time a day. I would have brownouts, which is where you um, like you don't pass out. You can still hear what's happening, but like you completely lose your vision and your sense of balance is very, very challenged. I would have brownouts on the fucking regular. This was happening daily. I could not figure out why. I was eating healthy. I was in like the best shape of my life. I was at a really healthy weight, like all these things, but I couldn't figure out what was going on. Then I had this anxiety attack. And my friend said to me, and she goes, you know what? Our bodies are wildly capable and they are super, super strong. And they are often the last thing to go. Your anxiety attack is your body saying, I'm fucking done. I can't keep doing this. And that was a really hard wake-up call. Whew, I was not anticipating getting emotional today. I'm not going to apologize, although I very nearly just said sorry. That was a huge wake-up call for me to go, I am outrageously strong and fierce and fucking capable. And I have been white-knuckling my way through, and my body has been doing an amazing job supporting me. And now my body is going, we did it. We did the thing. We made it to our wedding. We had this amazing experience. We can't keep going on like this. It's not okay. It's going to get worse. I took 2 days off to really think about like what was going to be my next steps. What was I going to do? Because I was like, I don't have a fucking job lined up right now. I just got married 3 days ago. I don't even have like dishes put away yet, right? Our house was this like bizarre pile of things, like 40 candles sitting around and like, I don't know, plates everywhere. Like it was, I didn't have anything lined up. I'd spent 9 months, 10 months focused on getting ready for the wedding. What was I going to do next? But I just knew inside it was time. I knew inside that I could not keep going the way I was going. But on the back of my mind constantly was this thought. I knew, oh my God, I fucking knew that I was meant to teach about, talk about, do something with money. And I was like, who the fuck am I to talk about money? Are you fucking kidding me? I at that point let go of all the debt that I'd had before. And I actually say leveraged money. Debt is not a word that I use. But so I had a cushion, right? I had space, I had room, I had financial resources that could support me. But I was like, it's ludicrous to go from a really well-paying job, no matter how like bonkers it is, into fucking nothing. And it took me 2 months of healing before, to really make matters worse, before I was even close to being at a place that I could actually start building my business. So I spent 2 months of not only just like, I could not believe how exhausted I was. I have talked with folks that I've worked with since, and I understand this is actually a very common and very recurring theme. So many people said the same thing. Oh my God, Amy, I had the same thing. For me, it was 3 months. For me, it was 4 months. For me, it was 1 month. Could not function. Like just absolutely exhausted. Our bodies were done. And I was sitting there going, there must be something wrong with me. And how do I now try to go and talk to people about money? I'm supposed to be the expert. How am I the expert in this? Look at what's happening in my life right now, right? So I've been hiding that 25%. And what I realized as I was reading this book today was that part of what also I've been feeling a little bit of, I have a really big heart. I don't want to ever exclude anybody, but I also am very, very, very focused. Like this business, all of my messaging, everything about it is all focused on women. Does that mean it also can apply for men? Absolutely. And it doesn't even matter whether, like, I realize that I'm talking about this in like very binary terms. Okay. And we're living in the world where like we understand now that that is not the only like versions of existence. Right. But I focus on this specifically for women. But here's the thing, because I've been programmed, all of us have been codified into saying, okay, we have to be good. Women have to be good. You have to be quiet. You have to be like, let everybody else take care of you, be weak and blah, blah, blah. Right. Because that is sitting in that programming, I have been cautious and careful about really speaking my truth, about really just talking to fucking women. I've literally had this amazed me. I was so fascinated by this. I still don't quite get it. It's starting to change, which is good. But like when I first started posting videos, especially on TikTok, actually people like comment more on TikTok than they do on Instagram. I don't know why. Is that a thing on TikTok? I'm terrible. Like, what's the differences between the platforms? Like I logically I like understand the basics. But anyway, the first, I think maybe 4 or 5 comments that I got, like of any comments, okay, was from guys. So for example, I had a video that I followed a format that somebody shared was, put this video on like, I'm on your feed because, and then I put in, you're a woman who is ready for financial freedom. The only comment, literally, the only comment that I got on that video was from a guy who literally says, well, I'm a guy, so why are you on my feed? And I'm like, well, and this is just an example of the kind of garbage that we as women deal with all the fucking time. So, okay, here you go, dude. You know what? So I'm the person who owns TikTok. And I'm the person who makes all the decisions about exactly how the algorithm works. And I've decided that even though you identify as a guy, and I've only just started posting videos like maybe a month ago, that like you need to see my video because clearly I'm the one who's in charge of that. Like, I don't fucking know. I'm going to say, obviously, because the algorithm is still trying to figure out who my target audience is. That's what my guess is. What was my response to this completely like idiotic fucking response? Because I can't say you're a fucking idiot. I don't know. Not that I would do that anyway, other than like gotten in lovely conversation like this between you and I. But like, I can't say to him like, that's your fucking problem, right? Like we're taught to be good. We're taught to be kind and respectful. We have to be nice. Girls always have to be nice. It's not okay to be mean. Boys can't handle it. It hurts their tiny little egos. They get very upset. We have to be nice. So we are. So my response was, because I'm like, I don't know. I just said, well, I guess you must have like some really like really be tuning into your powerful feminine energy. Like, that's great. Because I don't know what the fuck to say. He never responded. I'm not surprised. Then the next couple of comments that I got, this other one really stood out and like sits in the back of my mind ever so slightly. Almost every time I record an Instagram video or well, a video just in general, because I post them everywhere, is I shared a video teaching about how we're hiding from money. You may or may not have seen it. Hopefully you've seen it. If you haven't, go find it. Help me get my rankings up. So I shared this video about like 3 ways that we're hiding from money and what that means. The only person who commented on the video, again, was a guy, not the same guy, different guy. Yay. Was a guy who basically said, with that background, I don't trust that you have any kind of money, honey. And I remember looking at it going, what am I supposed to say? Also, what does the wall behind me have anything to do with it? Like, for all you fucking know, I'm in an Airbnb in like, I don't know, Italy. Like, you know, it made 0% sense, but it stuck with me. And I, again, was stuck in that space of like, how do I respond? What do I say? I've decided from now on out, I've had a couple of like just fucking stupid comments like that. And like, yeah, some really trolly kind of comments, not some really terrible ones, thankfully, but I'm just going to fucking delete them. Like, I'm 0% interested. If you're not here to actually have a conversation, I'm not interested. A conversation, you can disagree with me. You can say, actually, I learned this, or I think this is true, or whatever. Like, we can have a conversation, but if you're just going to fucking troll on my content, 0% interested in you. But all of this stuff, it sits with us. As women, we feel this every fucking day. Trying to explain to my husband that the minute I step outside the door, and hell, I don't even have to step outside the door. I hear a knock on the front door. I don't see the UPS truck sitting out front. I know the UPS driver. He's super fun. I really like him. If I don't see the UPS truck sitting out front, or I can't for whatever reason see who's standing on the front step, I'm fucking nervous. 99.99999% time, everything is fine. It's probably somebody who's trying to sell me something, or it might be like FedEx delivered and they parked up the street for some bizarro reason, right? But like, I'm nervous. I'm afraid because I don't know what happens when I open the door. I don't know any men in my life who feel that way. They're like, just fucking open the door. What's the big deal? Right? Like there's no try to really explain this. The best thing, this is the best example. And then I think I'm going to like tie this episode up. The best example that I heard was actually from one of my leads, one of my managers. This is right before I became a manager. And in fact, he was the person who basically said to me, I don't think I'll ever forget this conversation as long as I live. It was right as the company was starting to grow. There had been like massive sort of constriction on internal movement, even though like everything was promised about like they're big on promoting from within, but like nobody could go anywhere because there was no positions opening up. And all of a sudden, this is pre-COVID, post-COVID, like just post-COVID. And when I say post-COVID, like post March 2020. All right. So like there's a very defining moment in my life. March 2020, COVID happened. It's not defining in my life because it's like, oh my God, everything shut down. It's defining in my life because I was working on frontline technical support and my life went from like a reasonable amount of incoming to support to outrageous like 4-hour queues for someone to talk to us, and everybody was upset. And I'm like, I'm doing my best. Okay. Like you can yell at me all you want to for having been on wait for 4 hours, or we can just fucking get to your issue. So this is after the March 2020, like whole world blew up kind of situation. Hiring was starting to begin. He was aware of what was coming. He said to me, Amy, I want you to apply for the leadership role that's going to be coming up here very soon. And I'm like, I don't fucking want to be a lead. And he's like, why not? I straight up looked at him like, nothing about your job looks like fun to me. Like, I'm not enjoying the role that I'm in right now either, but like, you know, if I'm calling a spade, what you do doesn't sound exciting to me. We talked through it. He kept doing his very best to convince me. And finally, he just said, and I don't think I'll ever forget this, he just said, would you just fucking get over yourself and just apply already? I'm like, all right, fine. I'll apply. I don't expect to get the job, but whatever. Let's apply anyway. In the interview, I guarantee, I'm taking a small tirade here. In the interview, I'm sitting there with like two senior managers, one who I kind of knew, one who I'd never met before. And they asked the question, like, why this role and why now? And I straight up said to them, completely like honestly and deadpan, I said, I don't actually know that I want to be a lead. But my lead said, apply for this role. He seems to think I'd be really great at it. It's a like a temporary position, which is great. Means I can go in. I can like see how it is. If I absolutely love it, great. Let's talk about extending the role. If I don't love it or if it's not a great fit, it's not the end of the world. I just go back to what I was doing before and I look for the next great fit. They fucking hired me. I still am like, I don't know. When I tell people that like I told them straight up, like I don't actually want this role. I don't know why I'm here other than my lead told me to be here and I still got hired. They're like, are you fucking kidding me? And this is the part of the magic that I just believe that like if a role is meant for you, there is nothing you can do to lose it. And if the role is not meant for you, I don't care how amazing you show up during the interviewing and hiring process, there's nothing you can do to win it. Okay? Excuse me, this is something that I've shared with lots of my teams in the past, and I share with lots of friends and different folks that I've worked with and talked with over the years to say like, look, try to relax in the process because do your best. Obviously, don't show up in like your fucking pajamas and like be a jerk about it. But like, if it's meant to be yours, it's meant to be yours. And if it's not, nothing you can do can make it be yours, and that can just help you relax. I digress. So this lead that I'm talking about was saying to me, we were talking about how women and men experience the world differently. I was the only woman on a team of all guys, okay, which is already a little bit daunting. I'm working in tech, so the majority of our team was younger than me. And we're talking about how women and men experience the world differently. And my lead shares, he goes, do you know what? I never really thought about it until my wife shared this story. he said, I don't know the context of the lead up, but basically he said, my wife, when she's walking down the street, like if she's walking on the sidewalk, if there is a man on the sidewalk in front of her, just a single guy, and she's by herself, she will cross the street. Doesn't matter, she won't like obviously like run into traffic, but like she won't wait for a crosswalk. Right? She will just cross the street to be on the other side. And he, for whatever reason, this came up in their conversation. And he's like, why? Why would you do that? And she said, because I don't know if he means me any harm. Chances are probably he doesn't, but I don't know that. And it's much safer for me to just preemptively cross the street where I am safe. Even if this person is a completely kind stranger, right? It means me no harm, is like, go have an amazing day, like all those things. It is safer for me to cross the street than to stay where I am. And that blew his mind. He's like, that's how you function in the world? And she goes, I have to. That is the world that women live in. And that is, when I think about my work, when I think about my messaging, when I think about how I've been showing up, I have been not necessarily pulling my punches. I've still been very authentic and real and like honest with you when I'm sharing podcasts and like doing videos and stuff. But there is always this little pull in the back of my mind that says, don't be too much. Don't be like saying bad things about guys. Not that I would, like whatever, guys are, they're fine. But like, be very careful because you don't want to upset the boys. They can't handle it. They'll get mad. It's not okay. So you need to find a way. Sure, talk to women. It's super cute. Oh, so cute that you think that girls can do all these things. That's literally, there's like this train of thought because that's what we've been fucking told for years. That's what's sitting in the back of my mind. So, this has been a slightly different podcast episode than I anticipated. I am hoping and trusting that something in my just free-flowing talk with you and just being very truly honest and transparent with you has resonated. I am in the process of becoming more and more and more unencumbered and fully authentic, even more so than how I've been showing up, and really just going, this information and knowledge is for everybody. Anybody can take it. Anybody can have access to it. But I'll be damned if I'm going to change my language in order to somehow satisfy the guys. I will be damned if I change how I approach what I'm doing. If I somehow stop talking about what it is like to live in the world as a woman and help other women break down those barriers for themselves and really stand into their own fucking power, I will be damned if I stop doing that because I'm afraid that I'm going to upset some guy who doesn't have any confidence. Some guy who only gets his power, his sense of self-worth by believing that half of the planet of humans are less worthy than him. I'll be damned if that's going to be the way I exist. When I look at my husband, he is one of the strongest, kindest, most amazing people that I know. And I know that because I have been told most of my life I'm too much, I'm too loud, I'm too bossy, I'm whatever. My family would say to me on the regular, well, I knew that relationship wasn't going to work out because you just bossed him around. I'm like, when did I ever boss him around? Legit, like I'm not a bossy person. I'm very much about collaborating. But when over time, and I look back, I go, oh my God, they weren't wrong. They were wrong in the sense that I wasn't bossing anybody, but they weren't wrong in the sense that the partners that I had been with were people who were kind and generous and loving and very supportive, but they weren't fully embodied in their own masculine energy, in the proper, true, aligned version of their masculine energy. When I look at my husband, I know that he is this strong and steady and amazing human being because I can show up in my fullness with him. In my fullness. And if that means that like I'm having a total girl day, like All my hormones have gone off the rails and everything's going fuck shit sideways. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just like crying and don't know what to do. He's there. He's not freaking the fuck out. He's like, don't cry. Please don't cry. He's like, he's handing me the Kleenexes. We literally had a moment where I'm going to share this little story because it's kind of funny. We were having a bit of a emotional conversation. We weren't having a fight, but my emotions spiked and I was in full tears. And I don't think I'm alone in this. When I have been in full tears, of course, my nose starts to run. And I had been like dabbing my eyes, but my Kleenex had been completely used up. And my nose is like, it's literally starting to drip. And I'm like wiping my eyes with my sleeves. And my husband quietly, as he's listening to me, goes and grabs a Kleenex and is like, I swear to God, trying to like wipe my nose for me because I'm sobbing so much, so hard. He's like, here, let me just like wipe your nose. He's not like, that's gross. He's not, none of those things. He's just like, let me just give you a little bit of assistance. That is a human who can stand fully in his own 100% masculine energy in the best, most aligned possible way and be there and support me and just be the container for the feminine that's flowing through me. All right. I'm not going to say that the feminine is only emotions, but that was a more feminine moment. All right, my loves. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope that each of you has someone as amazing in your life as I have and my husband. I also have some really amazing friends, as I talked about a little bit in this episode. But all that to say, I suppose, that I'm going to do my very level best to show up more fully, to be more honest, and to just straight up be more clear about, can you like leave me a review? Come follow me on the gram or on the TikToks. Both handles, the handle for both, that was a weird way to say it, is the same. It's my name, Amy Van Meel. I have them always linked in the show notes. So you can just go find me, follow me, check out my reels, tell me what's working. Tell me what's not working. If you like find a reel, if you find a reel and you're like, what the fuck is this about, Amy? Like send me a DM and go, I don't get it. Tell me more, right? Tell me the things. Okay. I'm going to wrap this episode up with this last little piece. So, the last few episodes I've been really talking about, promoting the workshop. So I did a live workshop last week. That workshop is now fully enrolled into the Building Vampires program. It's really powerful. It's really fucking amazing. I had someone literally like reach out to me partway through day 2 as I'm literally still in the workshop, said, I actually had to leave because I couldn't take notes fast enough. There's so much good stuff in here. I've decided I'm just going to watch the replay later when I can like pause the video and go back. I'm like, hey, that's 100% fair. That has now been enrolled into the Building Vampires program. So Building Vampires, I've talked about this before, is my transformational money program. This program is really like teaching you, I'm going to sound a little bit on repeat because I've been saying this and reading this and writing this forever, but like it's foundational money knowledge. I'm going to talk with you about basic financial tools. And I don't mean basic in terms of like, everybody should know this, but like basic financial tools in terms of like pretty much anywhere that you exist in the world, there will be some version of this financial tool, and it will very likely operate in this kind of way. All right. Now, because the program isn't restricted to just people in Canada or just people in the US, and hell, even the way finances work between Canada and the US is completely different, but is open to folks all over the world, I wanted to make sure that I wrote the content specifically around the financial tools in a way that was broad enough that like whether you're from Ireland or Canada or the US or Australia or Zimbabwe, that like it could make some sense for you. Okay. That knowledge is key. Why is that knowledge key? In order to really feel confident in our finances, in order for us as women to stand up fully in our financial power, which, by the way, we've been trained for millennia, we're not supposed to have, in order for us to do that, we actually have to understand what the fuck we're talking about. Okay? Even if you're not like, let's set aside you needing to call the bank or for like a loan, or that you're going to the bank for a mortgage, or that you decided that you need to talk to a financial advisor to get your investments set up versus just investing on your own. Okay. Let's just talk about like regular everyday things. If you don't understand not only just how a credit card works, but how to leverage it most fucking effectively, like you're missing out on key parts of the game. So I make that super clear and easy and simple. That does not mean simple as in like I've dumbed it down, like, oh, because you're super cute, little girl, tap you on the head. No, I've made it fucking easy for you to understand so you understand what those tools are. In fact, when I go through the whole investing section, I use baked goods. We talk about donuts and muffins. It makes me hungry every time I think about it. And I already mentioned that I talk about history because, of course, it's really important to understand some of this. And I trust that as you learn some of the history, it's going to also create unlocks for you. The rest of the program, excuse me, is really about understanding how your subconscious mind works, identifying the beliefs that have been keeping you stuck, showing you how to fucking shift them absolutely effortlessly, and then tooling you up with embodiment tools, grounding tools, energy clearing tools, things that are super fucking simple that like you don't have to like take any kind of fancy degree in order to learn. You just I'll show you the thing to do in order for you to change how your reality shows up. I'm going to color this in with an example really quick. So I shared with you earlier that right now I'm bridging the gap. I'm bridging the gap between the time of my life where I have this like super well paying full-time job, but was fucking miserable and getting worse, and this current place in my life where I'm growing this business and I'm doing my best to like reach my ideal clients, my soulmate clients, saying, hey, babe, you and me, we's meant to be. Come get in here. Come join me, right? I'm bridging that gap financially. If before I learned everything that I share with you inside the Building Vampires program, the experience that I had yesterday wouldn't have just been me going, okay, this is the low point, and I'm actually going to leverage this as a way to be really authentic and real with my audience. The situation that I would have had last night would have probably been much more aligned to the example that I shared about suicide, because money has been a extremely powerful, I suppose I'll say, lever in my life. And it is in all of our lives. Now, we all experience it a little bit differently. And I'm not saying my experience is the same as yours. Maybe you've had less scarcity in your life than I have. And I hope that's true because that would be amazing. But what I share inside the program is supporting me as I am in this space from one to the other. 10 years ago, I could not sit here the day after what happened yesterday, recording a podcast, being just like clear and honest and open with you, and feeling okay about that. I would have probably still been sobbing my eyes out. I probably would be like throwing up. I don't throw up very often, thank God. But like, I would have just been utterly beside myself. So when I say that what I share inside the Building Vampires program can absolutely fucking transform your life, I'm not saying that lightly. I'm not using marketing terms to try to tell that to you. I am saying that because it legit is in there. Everything that's in there, I have personally tested, I have tried, I have worked on. There's nothing in there that I don't use myself. Okay? 0% of things are in there that I don't use myself because, well, that just seems kind of silly. And I'm very clear with you when I'm talking about financial tools. I'll share with you like, okay, I understand up to here. If you want super in-depth, like for example, I don't have a section on mortgages. I have never applied for a mortgage. I don't have a mortgage. My husband owns the house that we live in. It's a sweet deal for me. I've never done that. So I have 0% experience about what that looks like. Of course, I could go read about it. That's fine. And I do a little bit of that when it comes to things like mutual funds and index funds so that I can properly explain them to you as a tool and something available to you. But I don't know enough about mortgages to teach about it, so I don't. That said, everybody who enrolls in the program gets lifetime access, okay? And I mean this for reals. So I'm going to color this in just a little bit further. When I very first opened this program for pre-sale, I sold 2 programs at $55 a piece. Now, the program for the last 4 months has been priced at $188.88 because I'm all about the eights. Canadian. I've had people enroll at that price point. This is the very last time that Building Vampires will be available at that price point. After this launch closes, and I've been extending this launch because I want people to get in there, like get in there, get in at this price point. It's so good. But the next time, so when I close the cart, which possibly will be the end of tomorrow, today is currently Thursday, July 4th. So that would be tomorrow, July 5th. I may extend it into the weekend. Undecided. I'll keep you posted. Find out on the gram. I'll tell you all the things. Always in my stories. But once this particular round closes, the price goes up to $444. It just will. I have so much more value to stack into there. This program, I've been underpricing it. Oh my God. There's going to be a time in my life where I'm going to like, really? I thought that like $55 was enough. What was I thinking? The point being that like, there is so much more coming into it. So yes, I have, all the stuff that I talked about, the financial tools, subconscious mind, rewiring, becoming unfuckwithable, all that kind of jazz. But I'm also getting ready. It is downloading into my brain. It's coming through to me to add things about how to build your confidence. And we'll talk specifically about building confidence in your finances, but also about building confidence in your life. This is something that I've seen so many people struggle with. So many people who are just like, they're smart and they're kind and they're fucking amazing at what they do, and they struggle feeling confident in like other areas of their life. So I'm going to have a section on that. I'm going to have a section on freedom. Now, I will say so we'll talk about financial freedom and what that means and what that looks like and what that could mean for you, but also just freedom of choices, freedom of decisions, freedom of like how you exist in your day, right? What does that look like? And we'll explore that together. And I'm going to have a section on time. Time is something that I have been really learning and diving into in the last 6 or 7 months in particular. I have learned how to decouple myself from the clock, which if you're like, what does that even mean? Just like pay attention for like the next hour, maybe the next couple of hours. Pay attention how often you look at a clock as some kind of indicator of where you should be in your day. I'd be like deep in work on something and I'd look at the clock and I go, oh, it's 11 o'clock. Oh my God, I got to go eat something. Was I hungry? No. I just happened to catch the clock and go, oh shit, I should probably eat something. And so I'm programmed in, well, at 11 o'clock or whatever time it was, that's the time I go eat the thing. I better go eat the thing, right? So I did an experiment where I decoupled from the clock. And my husband thought, he's like, why are there Post-its everywhere? I'm like, I'm trying something right now. He's like, okay. And it made a massive difference. So we're going to talk about time, how to decouple from the clock, how to shift how you perceive and experience time in your life. All right. We'll very likely in that section, I would imagine, talk about like flow state. What does that look like? How does that feel? Maybe we'll talk about how to get into that, but like your flow state is going to come from different things in your life. My flow state comes from all kinds of different things. Sometimes it's where I'm at in my cycle. Sometimes it's where I'm at just like emotionally. Sometimes it's like I've been reading or learning or like whatever, experiencing certain things and like it just fires up. Like today is an example of that, where it's just really fired up this like flow of insight and knowledge and like deep wisdom that I want to share, that I just like, I have to get it out of me, right? So we'll talk about all that. That's all going to be added into the Building Vampires program over the next couple of months. The value for this program is only going to keep going up, and you have lifetime access. So as long as Building Vampires exists, you will get all the updates. I will not ask you to pay more. I had that with a program where I bought it. It was like, you get lifetime access. I'm like, amazing. And then they did the next launch. They're like, by the way, if you want access to all the updates and like the blah, blah, blahs, we need you to pay an extra $500. And I'm like, what? I thought I had lifetime access. That doesn't make any sense to me. So you have true lifetime access. So long as the Building Vampires program exists, you have access to it. All the updates, all the changes, all the things. Okay. So if you want to get in the program, like I said, it's only going to be open for a little bit longer. And I understand that I've been extending the cart, but like, I really want you to get in there. I'm really hoping that you're going to hear this podcast episode on time. If you're hearing this in like 2 years from now and it's no longer $444, I'm very sorry that that's your experience, but that's just how it's going to be because the value is going to keep increasing. So how to get into it, the link is of course in the show notes, but it's amyvanmeel.com/money. Click literally any button on the page. There's like 6 of them, I think, and it will take you to the checkout. The second that you go through the checkout, you literally just go fill in your billing information, like here's my name, here's my address, here's my credit card information, and you click, I think it says say yes, babe. I think that's what the button says, but you click the button to do the thing and purchase the thing and get it. You get instant access to the program. All right. You will get like, I think a series of emails. I've just changed platforms. So I believe you're going to get a series of emails with like, go here to log in. You're going to get access to the program immediately. Now, the very last thing that I will say on this is the modules themselves, there's currently 7. The modules themselves are set on a drip, and I do that very, very intentionally. So what is a drip? A drip means that you will only get access to the next module like after a specific amount of days has passed, if that makes sense. So you get access right away into all of the pre-work, all of the intro stuff. There's already subliminals that are in there. There's workbooks that are in there. There's a ton of already like knowledge and insight and stuff to help you like really set the groundwork for what you're about to experience. You get access to that right away. You get access to my resource library, which is fucking stacked. I'm just going to say. So you can like dive super deep into all the things right away. You get access to module 1. Excuse me. I've been talking too long. And now my throat is dry. You get access to module 1, I think 3 days after you purchase. And then it's every week after that. And I do that on purpose, not to like restrict like how fast you can learn, but actually to intentionally give you time to learn what is shared in the like modules themselves and then go through the workbook. If you want the full transformation, you can get partial transformation by just like listening, watching the modules or reading the text. But if you want full transformation, if you really want to take your money game to like a giant leap forward, you got to do the workbooks because it requires some inner work from you. There's nothing I can do to completely change your life on the outside unless you willingly engage, okay? You need to actually like step in, take a little bit of action, do a little bit of inner digging, and I guide you through all of that. So with that, I'm going to like sign off here and go drink a glass of water. Probably put on a sweater because I'm getting chilly. I hope that this episode has been really helpful. Please leave me a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Please share this episode out. Oh my goodness. Help me get the word out there. It would just like make my heart sing to see the downloads for the Manifesting Millions podcast skyrocket. Like that would just be fucking amazing. And I will be celebrating that everywhere because that will be all making that all happen. Share this episode with a friend, send it to your mom, send it to like your sister, be like, you got to fucking listen to this. She swears a lot, but she's pretty kind of fun. And let's get the word out there. No more living small. All right. Okay, my loves, have an amazing week. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you loved what you heard today, be sure to share it with me by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform and help me reach more like-minded people who are ready to expand their life. If you haven't yet followed me on social media, find me on Instagram for extra love and inspiration by following at Amy Van Meel or visit my website at amyvanmeel.com. I love you so much, babe, and I am damn proud of you. I am already excited to connect in the next episode. And in the meantime, believe in yourself with the confidence of a 5-year-old.